I need to get your take on a judgment also which came over the past week about the powers of the EFCC to probe state finances. I know that history in law also has this about whether or not the EFCC has the capacity, but it is an issue of fraud-related issue, alleged fraud-related issue. Why can't the EFCC do that?
Let me give you an example. I was Dariye's lawyer in 2004, and the EFCC were probing Dariye, and also in trying to probe Dariye, they wanted to probe the accounts of Plateau State government. I went to court in the Federal High Court in Plateau and was able to get a judgment that EFCC cannot and should not probe because the personality who can probe the government's account is the Finance Committee of the Plateau State House of Assembly. It is when the Plateau State House of Assembly looks into the finances of the government and finds that something has happened like forgery or theft, then they now take that matter to the police. But if they have not looked in, because the Constitution gives them, they are the only person in the Constitution that has the power to look into the accounts of the state. So EFCC cannot on its own go to the state secretary and say, look, I want to look into your account.
Not to even arrest.
No.
What about the ICPC?
Let me tell you a funny story. They asked the Accountant General of Plateau State to come to Lagos then, and I told them not to come. I told them not to come. Why? Because EFCC hasn't got the power.
Even the ICPC?
They don't. They can probe individual public officers.
But what if they probe the as an individual, the official of government as an individual, not the government's boss?
They cannot probe the government.
What I'm saying, if they probe, for example, a commissioner of finance as an individual relating to whatever transaction.
If he has committed acts in relation to forgery, stealing, or any other act, then they can arrest him and ask him to account for what he has done. But to ask the government as a government to account for spending of money, no way. It's the House that has the authority under the Constitution.
All right, we'll take another breather on the program, but when we come back, we will be assessing the issues raised by the strained relationship between the two organs of government and the controversies over the 2018 budget, plus more issues on the state of the nation. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. There is no denying the fact that the executive and the National Assembly sometimes act like, well, a cat and mouse. They disagree from time to time. The budget sometimes falls as a victim. So what is the way forward, especially as the 2018 budget is still under processing? We have the Senate spokesperson, Chairman, the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, and the senior advocate here, Chief Robert Clark. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Senator, if I may quickly come to Abuja, to you now. On the issue of the 2018 budget, where are we?
Well, Shaun, let me say that the 2018 budget is being processed right now. The various MDAs are having, interactions with the various committees. That is happening right now, but permit me to also say that it's not happening at the pace we also want to see it. And this is coming from the fact that many of the MDAs, when you invite them, the chief executives are either having some programs they are having, particularly end of the year and even beginning of the year. And so sometimes you find the committees also, being constrained along that line. But despite that, I will say that almost every other day, you will see one MDA or the other still coming over to come and do their budget defense. So it's still in process, and it's our expectation that, this will definitely be concluded in the shortest possible time.
So, Senator, the hopes of regularizing the budget cycle is dashed.
Well, you see, the issue is simple. The aspect of budget cycle, I think we shouldn't try to overflog this issue. As desirable as it is, I don't think we should, sacrifice it on the altar of the performance of the preceding budget. If you remember, as at the time the budget 2018 was laid, the performance of the budget was less than 20%. But between that period and now, just as Mr. President has promised, there has been some, increase in release. I think up to 50% or even more. I can't tell exactly. But this is ongoing. And if you recall, the last budgets, based on the 12-month cycle, actually the present 2017 budget, if we are to follow it as a legal, document that has been duly passed and signed, into law, will be expiring sometimes in May. So I think if all things being said, if the implementation is carried through, the impact the 2017 budget will be making, can definitely supplant whatever loss we think by not getting the budget cycle right. Maybe we're losing something. So this is the situation. But I believe if we make, good effort, maybe by the next year budget cycle, we'll be able to bring it backwards and gradually get to a point in which definitely everybody will have been in tune. And not to forget that those of us in the National Assembly, we also have some laws that we're looking at to try to streamline some of these things so that people can carry out certain responsibilities necessarily and compulsorily by a certain time frame. So I think if we're able to get this right, then we can begin to talk about the budget cycle. But right now, to do it sharp and just once, I think we'll be doing more disservice to the economy. Right. Because if you remember, when the 2017 budget was passed, a lot of MDAs have done advertisement. Most of our citizens have also bought bids to participate in the bidding process. And if you just cut it off, it means you are also putting them in some dilemma.
All right. Thank you so much, Senator. Let's conclude the conversation tonight on the program with a senior advocate. He's passionate about the laws regarding herdsmen and some of the clashes. We just have about 1 minute. If you can weigh in on this matter, which way can we head to nip this problem in the bud?
I'm really grateful that you are looking at how to solve the problem. You see, for the past 20 years, we have had on hand this problem of fighting of herdsmen and local farmers. It is not a new thing. And nobody has ever thought of finding a solution to this problem. The government of Obasanjo was there for 8 years. There was incessant killings. They were crying about the killings. Nobody thought about the solution to it. 6 years of Jonathan's government, the same thing. Nobody looked for a solution. And unfortunately, most of our leaders, Wole Soyinka came here condemning the killings. He never gave the country that this is a solution to it. We just condemn. So, I'm grateful you raised it.
Yeah. So now, we just have about 30 seconds if you can just quickly help give solution. What exactly is the solution we need
to see, when you look at Ogun State today, you wouldn't hear much about this herdsman palaver. It's because in Ogun State they have what you call a ranch where they rear cattle. And I know many people in Lagos, we go there to buy cattle at very rich rates. 80,000, 100,000 big and fat cows that, go for 250 from the cows from Niger and northern Nigeria. My solution, I believe, is this. Let 2 states come together and build a ranch. Ogun and Osun and Oyo, Edo and this one. If each state in the southern wing, forget the north, in the southern wing, if 3 states can join together and each build a ranch and rear cows, the Fulani herdsmen will not be bringing cows again.
All right.
And there will be no this palaver every day.
All right. Senior Advocate, I'm sorry, I'm afraid we need to go now. Many thanks for your time. Always a pleasure having you join us. Thank you so much. Senior Advocate, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, thank you also for your time on the program. And that's our show for today, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Sean Okimaloye. Bye-bye.